Hi, fourth graders, it's Mrs. Belatesh. I am glad to be with you today. Today, we're going to take a look at our plants and see how they are doing. For me, it is day number 5. So I'm going to open up the bags for just a short amount of time, and we're going to observe what has happened to the seeds in the bags. Then we're going to put them back in the bags, seal them up, and then we'll observe them again. We are also going to look at the seeds that are in the different concentrations of salt water. So we'll be looking at those as well. If you are at home, I sent home some soil and some seeds that you can plant. It would be great if you could test salt water or no salt water. You could test one that has a lot of water or one that's drier. Before I open the bags, I want you to notice something that's on the inside of the bag. Do you see all that water? So remember, we watered the soil, but then the sun's energy, the heat and light from the sun, heated up the soil. That water that's in the soil went from a liquid to a gas. It went up into the air. It evaporated. And then because the water vapor could not escape and it condensed, and then it rolls back down, and you can see I have a little bit of water in the corner there. So that is a great example of the water cycle at work right there. All right, so now we're gonna open up the containers. Here are my 4 containers: dry, moist, wet, and very wet. And now I'm going to take a close-up look at each one in that order. Here's the dry container. I don't see anything starting to germinate or come up out of the soil. I don't see anything starting to grow on day 5. Here is the moist container. This is peas, and I see one of the peas right there in the soil. I don't see if it's growing or not. Let's take a look from the top. So I'm not really seeing anything growing out of the moist cup. Wet, this is the wet cup. Here's peas. Let's take a look. Okay, I think I see a radish seed starting to germinate there. Corn, oh, okay. I think the corn, I think that there is a root starting to come out of the corn seed. Here is the very wet bowl. It looks like things are starting to grow here. It looks like something is starting to grow in that corner right there. Let's look from the side, see if we see any roots. So I think we need to wait another few days to see what happens here. So dry, nothing is happening. Moist, I don't really see anything happening. Wet, I'm starting to see the radish germinating. And very wet, it looks like the peas are starting to grow. I just put them all back in the bags. I'm gonna put them outside and look at them again in 3 days. Now we're gonna take a look at the seeds that were being watered with salt water. This one has 0 spoons of salt, and let's take a look. Oh, quite a lot is happening. Of course, I'm keeping the soil wet, and it looks like quite a number of the plants are starting to grow. Peas are germinating. Over here is the barley. The barley is germinating. Over here is the radish, and I think it's only the corn. Oh, I think I see the corn starting to grow. The container that has 0 amounts of salt, the seeds are all germinating and the plants are starting to grow. Now let's look at the one with 1 spoon of salt. Okay, it looks like some of the things are starting to grow here. Let's take a look and see which ones are starting to grow. Here's the peas. Maybe it's the peas that are starting to grow. And this is the radish. And the radish seem to be going fine. This is 2 spoons of salt. Corn, it looks like maybe the corn is starting to grow. I think I see a root coming out of there. Yep, there's another root coming out, so corn. I don't see anything growing out of the soil yet, but maybe the corn will start to grow. This is 4 spoons of salt. I don't see anything growing yet. Please get this package, Plant Observations A. Half of you are going to write the amount of water as the environmental factor tested. Half of you are going to write salt tolerance or salt as the environmental factor tested. You're going to put the planting date. You're going to put the seed types. We had 4 seed types. If you're at home, you have beans. You didn't have all the other seeds that we tested, but you can watch this video and see what happened with the seeds that I planted. Then you're going to put here, if you're doing salt, you're going to say no salt, 1 spoon of salt, 2 spoons of salt, 4 spoons of salt. And then you're going to record your information. So for me, under no salt, 7 plants came up. The tallest plant was 1 centimeter tall. Under 1 spoon of salt, 3 plants came up. The tallest plant was 1/2 centimeters. I had no plants come up in the 2 or 4 spoons of salt. Looking at the water information, I did not have any plants come out of the soil during the first 5 days. I might have something in 3 more days. But you guys are not going to put what I saw unless you are at home. You're going to put the information from your own experiment. And now in 3 days, I'm going to add additional information. Okay, 4th graders, now we're going to look at the seeds 3 days later. So let's take a look at the ones that are in the bags first. Here are the dry seeds, and I don't see any plants starting to grow. I don't see the seeds germinate. Nothing is happening inside, and I can even see the seeds, and I don't see any roots coming out of them. Here is the moist soil, and again, I don't see anything really starting to grow, and nothing has grown from here. Now, your soil might have been a little bit more moist than mine, and you might have a slightly different result. Here is the wet soil. Oh, I see something growing there in the wet soil. I see a root starting to grow. There's some corn starting to grow, and that's all I see here. Here is the very wet soil. I see, it looks like a pea, and it started to grow, but then the root is starting to rot. I don't see anything else growing. Now we're gonna look at the soil that's watered with fresh water up to salty water. So this one is 0 spoons of salt. This is radish. Radishes are growing. It looks like corn starting to grow. Barley is growing. Peas are growing. So when there's no salt, all of the seeds are growing. This is 1 spoon of salt, and it looks pretty good here as well. So here's the barley. Here are the peas, radish. I don't see any corn really growing, but maybe the corn will start to grow. Here's the bowl with 2 spoons of salt, and it's not looking so good. I don't see any plants growing. Here's the container with 4 spoons of salt, and it also does not look very good. I don't see any plants growing. All right, those are the results from my plants. You guys might have slightly different results. Your soil might have been a little moister than my moist soil. Also, our plants are in different locations. Mine are at home in full sun. Yours might be in a shadier area. All of those things make a difference. Record your information on that notebook master. We're going to continue looking at the seeds for another week. Based on what we've seen so far, do you have a prediction about what you expect to see next week? I will see you next time, Cougars.